Let justice roll down like water, righteousness like a mighty stream. For our grandsons and granddaughters, remember to remember the dream. Welcome to Songs and Stories from Home, as we continue to remember the dream. This week, Highlander. At this moment, the killing of George Floyd has put people back on the streets, and the struggle for racial equality back on the front pages. Perhaps this can be the time when our country, with its long history of racism, finally rises to the challenge and begins to create a system based on racial justice that will include social justice, economic justice, earth justice, and restorative justice. Perhaps this time we will choose to remember that for 250 of the last 400 years, it was lawful in America for black lives to be treated as property, to be bought and sold, whipped and chained. And then for another 100 years, laws were put into place to keep black lives from becoming fully part of American life. And for the past 50 years, progress made during the Civil Rights Movement, milestones, like the Voting Rights Act, have been systematically chipped away and diluted. Progress further denied by a failed and misdirected war on drugs and laws that allowed for mass incarceration. When I look to our past for signs of hope, I continue to find it in the Civil Rights Movement, a time when good people, with the help of a series of presidents, the Congress, and the Supreme Court, not only began to change the laws of the land, but moved forward the idea that we are all created equal, equally precious in the sight of however we perceive that Creator. I'm also inspired by places like the Highlander Research and Education Center that was founded in the 1930s and continues nearly 100 years later to work for justice, equality, and sustainability. Highlander drew figures from the civil rights movement like Dr. King, Reverend Abernathy, and Rosa Parks. It also welcomed one of my folk music heroes, Pete Seeger, who advised the California folk singer Guy Carawan to visit Highlander. Carawan not only visited, but stayed. In 1960, he introduced the song "We Shall Overcome" to the movement, and the song soon became an anthem for freedom in the U.S. and around the world. As someone who continues to believe in the power of song and singing, it was a special moment for me to sing "We Shall Overcome" at Highlander, standing between Guy Carawan's widow and a hero of the civil rights movement, Dr. Bernard Lafayette. As I explain in the video, I don't continue to sing songs like "We Shall Overcome," believing doing so will move mountains. Believing instead that when facing mountains, such as the mountain of racism, that we may continue to be moved. Let justice roll down like water, righteousness like a mighty stream. For our grandsons and granddaughters, remember to remember the dream. It was thrilling for me to visit the Highlander Research and Education Center, better known as Highlander, as part of the pilgrimage. It's a place, and it's also an idea. Founded in Mount Eagle, Tennessee in 1932 by Miles Horton, who believed we can find common ground if we're able to laugh and sing and dance together. Focusing on love, nonviolence, and disobedience, it became known as a gathering place, a teaching ground for labor and civil rights, focusing now on democratic participation and economic justice, a place where people like Rosa Parks went to learn and be inspired. Personally, I was excited to visit because it was there that Guy Carawan became a fixture. Carawan, a white folk singer like myself, from the West Coast, who came to Highlander at Pete Seeger's urging and stayed to help bring music to the movement. Two vivid memories from our visit to Highlander. Toward the end of the day, a group of us were on the hillside looking at Smoky Mountains, watching the sun go down, singing. We sensed something behind us, turned and watched the full moon rise. A magical moment when all seemed so right with the world. The other was sharing stories and dinner with Guy Carawan's widow, Candy, who'd walked up the hill from her home in Highlander. And after dinner, I sat next to her as part of a larger circle. And next to her was Bernard Lafayette. Besides being a true American hero, Bernard's a big proponent of the movement's philosophy of singing. If you can sing, sing loud. And if you can't sing, sing louder. It was a night of very loud singing, including We Shall Overcome. And for a moment I was overcome by the wonder and the preciousness of all of it, remembering later something I'd written as I'd prepared for the pilgrimage. My faith in the spirit of song and singing remained simple and strong. On October 15th, 1969, at the Moratorium March against the Vietnam War with hundreds of thousands of others, I marched around the White House singing We Shall Overcome, believing if we sang loud enough and walked far enough and had faith strong enough, that peace would surely come. I no longer sing in hopes of moving mountains, but in the faith that if love fills the spirit of our songs and singing, when we go into those mountains, we will know peace, and we shall be moved. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. And we'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh.